Okay, we're here once again. It's another Friday, and we're here in the Candidates Corner with Michael Sussman. Mr. Sussman.
Good day, Mr. Wilson. Good to see you. Thanks
It's always
for being
good to
here.
see you. So, what do we have working?
We have a lot of things working, and I just want to talk today, if we can, about two of the principal issues that are of critical importance to the county, because I want the people in the county to have as much factual information as they can about these issues. One of the things, as you know, that we're dealing with right now in the culture in general is an inability to agree on basic facts, and because of that, we don't have a common playing field for discussion and dialogue. The two critical issues that I wanted to discuss today are Amazon, where there are new developments this week, and also our effort to get a county controller in Orange County for the first time in the county's history. So let me start briefly with Amazon and give some of the viewers a better understanding of why I have the position I do about Amazon. First of all, this week, 7 or 8 weeks after the Zoning Board of Appeals in the town of Wawayanda told Amazon that it was not going to grant them a variance and allow them to move a building from 65 feet to 110 feet, a radical variance by most measures, Amazon came back now this week and made a new application to the planning board, which favored them the last go-round. The zoning board did not, but the planning board did, and says to the planning board, there's a provision now in the Wawayanda Code which will allow you to give us the approval that the zoning board wouldn't give us. Now, normally in New York State, a zoning board has the authority, the Zoning Board of Appeals, to hear appeals from a planning board or a building inspector who denies something someone wants. But normally the appellate process doesn't go the reverse way, meaning from the Zoning Board of Appeals decision and the planning board given a right to overrule that. So this is what Amazon is now saying. Amazon is now saying that there's a provision in the Code of Wawayanda which allows a planning board to give an exception to the height requirement if it finds, looking at all of the criteria, that the project is in the best interests of the community. Summarizing it, the best interests of the community are defined in its code in very specific terms. Is the mass of the building consistent with other buildings in the area? Will the traffic congestion be such as to be detrimental to the community? Will there be pollution and other effects that the community wishes to avoid? Will the rural character of the community be altered? All the very criteria that were discussed by the Zoning Board of Appeals previously and found to disfavor Amazon. Okay? That's one level. So in other words, what they're doing is an end run, and they're trying to use their massive power in that small community and trying to rough that community up and say, we're gonna get our way. We're gonna get our way. Now let me tell you why I feel strongly about their not getting their way. What they want to do is a heavy robotics plant.
Right.
And there have been studies that haven't been sufficiently discussed, because when we speak to the IDA, for instance, when I spoke to the IDA, they give them 3 minutes to speak. You can't get into the details that are necessary in 3 minutes. I have that I'm holding a summary of a report done by a major group called the Center for Investigative Reporting, which concludes this. Company officials have profoundly misled the public and lawmakers about Amazon's record on worker safety. Now, these aren't my words. This is a national center that studies worker safety. They reveal, this is from 2021, a mounting injury crisis at Amazon warehouses, quoting, one that is especially acute at robotics facilities during Prime Week and the holiday peak, and one that Amazon has gone to great lengths to conceal. With weekly data from 2016 through 2019 from more than 150 Amazon warehouses, quoting, the records definitively expose the brutal cost to workers of Amazon's vast shipping empire and the bold misrepresentations the company has deployed to hide its growing safety crisis. The data back up the accounts of Amazon warehouse workers and former safety professionals who say the company has used robots to ratchet up production quotas to the point that humans can't keep up without hurting themselves. For each of these 4 years, injury rates have been significantly higher at Amazon's robotic warehouses than at its traditional sites. Now, this is a robotics-filled plant. In fact, they say there'll be 750 jobs. There won't be. There'll be very many fewer than that, if not immediately, then in a couple of years. But regardless, the people who are there are going to be subject to speed of operations, which are unsafe for human health. And that's what the studies show. Now, you can see here 10 serious injuries per 100 workers. And you can see the difference between non-robotic and robotic. The significant difference between non-robotic and robotic. It's right here. So when I say I find this company destructive, I mean it. It's not a company that we want to encourage. Now, there's a lot more that I want to say to you about this, because I've also made claims about Amazon being a lawbreaker with regard to labor law. I had been working with Chris Smalls in the early organizing efforts at the Staten Island warehouse, which occurred during COVID. Chris Smalls noted during COVID that workers on the floor were not being given prophylactics and that people were literally dying on the floor, and Amazon was telling people to keep working around and over them. Okay? Now, that propelled Chris Smalls to become a union leader, which wasn't his aspiration, and they successfully organized for the first time in Amazon's history. What does that quote say?
Judge finds Amazon broke labor law in anti-union effort.
Okay? And it goes on to explain a ruling in a case before the National Labor Relations Board involved actions at two Staten Island warehouses before union votes last year. And it says, Amazon violated labor law in advance of unionization last year at two warehouses on Staten Island, a federal administrative judge ruled. The ruling ordered Amazon to stop unfair labor practices and post a notice saying it would not engage them again. This is what it says. In the weeks before the election, Amazon summoned employees at the warehouses to dozens of anti-union meetings, totally prohibited, at which supervisors questioned the credibility of the Amazon labor union, emphasized the costliness of union dues, and warned that workers would end up worse. Okay?
Well, just one quick question. How does the situation with what Washington has done with the NLRB affect what?
Well, that's what makes it even more critical. These workers, as I said this when I spoke at the IDA 2 months ago, are going to have less federal protection. And that's why we here have to be very clear before we give a company $100 million over a 20-year period. Is this company going to engage in the same practices? Here the headline, Amazon illegally suspended union leader for 10 weeks. NLRB judge finds. This is a second case. Okay? And again, under the law, workers have what is known as Weingarten rights, which allow them to request a union representative present during an interview which the employee believes reasonably could lead to discipline. Amazon denied Weingarten rights to 5 workers in different situations. They also violated the National Labor Relations Act when they suspended a worker for 10 weeks for being a known union leader. Now, this is the sort of thing that I want our people in the county to understand. We have many union members who want to go build an Amazon plant because it's good for them to build an Amazon plant. I get it. You want to work, I want you to work. But the question morally is, do we want to work and spend our money, $100 million, supporting a company that has a terrible labor record and has hidden it? That's the point, has hidden it. And is basically a lawbreaker when it comes to union organizing. And I want the unions in Orange County to think long and hard about this. We have an Amazon plant here in New Windsor, and a number of those workers courageously came to the IDA public hearing, which I believe was on June 11th. And a number of them spoke directly to the IDA. And by the way, the IDA had 5 members, and we were graced with 2 of them at the public hearing on the most important, expensive project the IDA is ever going to subsidize in the county.
And that's
right?
a non-union shop.
Yeah, it's a non-union shop at Amazon, but now I'm talking about the IDA, which they're asking for funding. Where was the IDA to hear from the public? 2 of the 5 members showed up at the public hearing.
It's not even a quorum.
Dismissive.
Yeah.
It's dismissive of the public. But here's the point. These workers got up, and they talked about living in their cars. having nowhere they can afford to live, working extensive hours at that plant, of other workers being injured as we've been going over here, and a basic disdain for them as human beings. This is not something our labor unions should be supporting. It's not something they should be supporting at all. And I challenge them to stand with me and say no to Amazon, because Amazon is violating the rights and safety and health of working people. So I want to talk about this because we're going to have now Amazon coming back on August 13th. There's going to be another planning board meeting. It's just next week. It's going to be on Wednesday night, and they're going to be there trying again to get the planning board to give them approval, circumvent the zoning board of appeals, and claim that it's in the best interest of the community that they be given special breaks. I don't agree. I don't think it's in the best interest of the community.
I agree with you 100%.
So that's that for right now, and I'm going to be speaking about it. The county executive doesn't want to talk about it. He wants to say it's all way beyond his business, but how could that be if the county agency that he appoints the members to is being asked to provide $100 million over 20 years in subsidy? Okay, why is it not the county's business? It seems to me it is the county's business. They're coming to the county and making it the county's business. The other thing I want to talk to you about is the effort to get a county controller.
Absolutely necessary, obviously.
Well, this is something that most people, regardless of political party affiliation, understand.
Right.
And they understand it because there's a need for checks and balances. And we've had
Absolutely.
too much corruption, too many scandals, and frankly, too little transparency to know what's going on.
Exactly.
Right? You don't know what's going on. You know, when Mr. Langdon Chapman, the longtime political guru of Steve Newhouse, the longtime county attorney in this county, the head of the independent party in this county, which is really a shill for the Republican Party, okay? When he suddenly came up with his brother-in-law's name, which is his own testimony, to provide consultancy to failed IT service consultants external to the county, we were paying millions of dollars. This is what the reports say. Millions of dollars for IT services. We couldn't do it in-house. And then the concern came that the IT services that we were getting weren't effective. There were all sorts of problems, delays, communication issues, errors. So we needed now a consultant to come and examine the work of these outside companies. You understand the context?
So this is a little nepotism at work here?
Well, this is what happened. Okay, so we need someone to come in. It just happens
Absolutely.
that in his pocket he has his brother-in-law's phone number. Okay, that's understandable. I have my brother-in-law. So I gave my brother-in-law's phone number and information to the director of IT. Okay? And now the director of IT is in touch with the gentleman, and he may be the most competent person in the world. That's not the issue. It's not the issue. He's given a $65,000 contract. There's no proper bidding. When the Republican-dominated committee that studied this looked at it, those in charge of the bidding process, according to them, fabricated and said, yes, we did have 3 bids. But the committee itself said, no, you did not have 3 bids. There's no evidence you went out. There's no evidence you had bids on hand. That's what they concluded. I'm not the one concluding it. It's in their own report. It's in their own report. It gets worse. Over a 4 or 5 month period, that $65,000 contract morphs into $400,000 to $600,000.
Wow.
Okay, and no bidding is done, and there are requirements that when you extend the contract, there are certain protocols to follow, and their own report said they didn't follow them. Now, look, it's one thing to say Steve Newhouse didn't know about this at the beginning. I don't believe it, but you can say it. He didn't know about it. Okay?
Been here.
But 12, 11 years, 10 years wouldn't happen. I don't know what's going on. I'm somewhere else, whatever the reasons are. But here's the problem. It came out. It all came out.
Right.
And four Democratic legislators stood with Mr. Skoufis, and they explained this whole situation. Mr. Skoufis runs the State Investigations Committee. His committee did an investigation of their own. It basically confirmed the same thing the Legislative Committee confirmed, and it came out. Well, what heads rolled? None. What was the accountability for the people involved? None. What happened to Langdon Chapman? Nothing. He's still the most powerful person in Goshen, in charge of human resources, the Department of Personnel for the county. What about the people involved in purchasing who broke every rule? Nothing happened to them. Now, you say, well, what's the relationship between that and county controller?
Yeah, exactly.
It was just happenstance that somebody found out about this and broke the story. But if you have a county controller, it's his or her job.
They're watching the line.
It's right. It's his or her job to know what's going on with purchasing. How do we know this is a unique situation? This may not be unique.
Well,
we have nobody.
I suggested it probably is definitely not unique.
I'm not making any suggestion. All I'm saying is we don't know. We have no way of knowing. We can assume, but we don't know. The only way we're going to know is when we have a county controller who's not under someone's thumb and can be fired if they let out the juice. You see, that's the problem. So I'm appealing to everyone in this county to sign a petition so on November we can get this on the ballot.
Regardless of their party.
Has nothing to do with
With any
party.
party, yeah.
You know, financial
Right.
responsibility is not a partisan issue.
No, it's not.
If you want to do things, create parks, if you want to help people who have needs, if you want to help flooding victims, you need money to do it.
That's right.
And if we're losing money by a bunch of chicanery and mispractice, then we're not going to have the money. But let me just read you something from the law that allows the establishment of a county controller.
Okay.
Because I want the public to be very aware of what's going on right now. This is what it says. This is section 575 of state law. The state law is called county law. You can see it's county law. These are the laws governing counties as passed by the state.
Right.
Quote, upon the filing with the Board of Elections prior to September 1st in any year, prior to September 1st, so that's the deadline, of a petition duly signed and acknowledged or authenticated in the same manner as a primary petition by electors of the county, meaning that's voters, equal to at least 5% of the total vote cast for governor in the county at the last general election at which a governor was elected, praying that the office of county controller be created in the county, the Board of Elections shall cause the proposition to be submitted to the voters of the county at the next general election following the filing of the petition. Now, that language can't be any darn clearer.
Wow.
We have till September 1st to make the submission. That's
Right.
what it says.
Right.
What did we get? Our Board of Elections is telling me, well, the petitions all have to be in by August 4th. Well, they don't have to be in by August 4th. And they're going to be in by September 1st, if I have anything to say about it. And I hope that the people listening to this say, call Sussman at 845-294-3991 and get a petition and start circulating it wherever you are so we have 6,250 signatures come September 1st and get this on the ballot. And if they don't put it on the ballot, we're going to be in court the next day. Okay? I'm telling the people of this county very clearly. We're not going to put up with any chicanery or nonsense. It's going to get on the ballot if you all help it get on the ballot. We have 23 or 2,400 signatures already. We have the rest of this month to get those we need. And if we get them, we're on the ballot. And no one's going to stop it from my point of view, even though they're going to try.
Wow.
Because my opponent has said very publicly, I don't need anybody overlooking me. Everybody needs something overlooking
Oh,
them.
my God.
Everybody needs somebody
Oh,
overlooking
my
them.
God.
And when we have what's happened in this county, which is transparent now because people in the Democratic Party stood up, okay? So I want the people out there to know what's going on. And if people say Michael Sussman's too angry, I'm not angry, I'm passionate.
You got it.
I'm not angry. I'm not
One
angry
of the
at
things I
all.
love about you, Michael, is that you do have that passion.
But, you know, this type of stuff has got to be dealt with. The
No.
Amazons of this world can't just be allowed to skate in here
No.
and take working class people's money
No.
when they are one of the largest, richest corporations
On
in the
the
world,
planet.
right? What do
Exactly.
they need this for? We should be supporting David. You know, I just got off the phone with a small businessman in this county, a friend of mine. And I was talking to him a little bit about this, and he's doing very well. And he said to me, Michael, you know, I don't need the help. I'm doing very well. That's what he said to me.
Yeah.
But he said to me, small business is a backbone of the county. And there are many small businesses that are still suffering from the effects of COVID, and they're not doing that well. And they have a hard time getting workforce, et cetera, et cetera. These are the businesses that we need to be uplifting through whatever subsidies we could provide.
Absolutely.
Not the Amazons, not the
Absolutely.
Legolands.
Absolutely.
And I believe the people believe the same thing I do. They know we don't need to induce Legoland. When Legoland was trying desperately to get into this region, and 3 different communities in Rockland County shut the door on them and said, we don't want you here, right? Now, is it possible there was a place in Orange County for Legoland? There's a possibility for everyone. But come in, don't come to the most environmentally sensitive site in Goshen with all these arterials, all these feed-ins to the Moodna Creek.
Right.
You know, the turbidity in the Moodna Creek increased so much, they were fined over $300,000 for about 70 violations.
Wow.
Was Legoland. It's a cost of doing business.
Wow.
We said from the beginning, those who opposed it, that's not a good place for it. It has nothing to do with should we have Legoland. It may be an appropriate site. It's not that site. That site was specifically in the county master plan barred for development. Barred by the Goshen master plan
Because of
for
its
development
strategic
because of its
position.
environmental
That-
sensitivity.
Oh my God.
And it's just trespassed by the county executive. It just goes in, who cares?
Well, it's obvious that the Republicans have absolutely no involvement with environmental concerns at all. Really, I don't see them doing anything here.
CPV is a good example. But both parties share responsibility. Now, I'm not going to
No,
back
that's
down
true.
from that.
That's true.
Democrats have had the opportunity with CPV to hold their feet to the fire, and they haven't done it. The Republicans have given them tremendous financial support. CPV, operating without a permit, has gotten $15 million of county subsidy in the last 3 years. Dan Scammer, not even operating, with one job created, according to the IDA records, has gotten $9.8 million of subsidies in 3 years. What's going on? So what I'm trying to reveal to people is what the facts on the ground are. Steve Newhouse, when you're ready to debate, give me a phone call, wherever, whenever. Okay? Put the facts on the table.
You've been served notice, Mr.
Okay?
Newhouse.
Put the facts on the table. And if you say Sussman's wrong, come to the table and tell the people where I'm wrong.
Exactly.
Okay, but what I want to know is why all of these things continue to happen in our county. Why was the IDA coming to a hearing to hear from hundreds of members of the public, whether you were favoring Amazon or against Amazon? You were all out there. And who were they speaking to? 2 of the 5 members of the agency in the most important time. We had nobody on the MTA board, David. I've said this to you before. Congestion pricing, you may love it, you may hate it. But Orange County, we have businesses paying money into New York City. We now have commuters who are traveling who are going to pay a significant toll. Whether you love it or hate it, you think it's good, you think it's bad, we had a seat at the MTA board. Mr. Newhouse appointed no one on that seat for 3 years.
Wow.
We don't have a public health commissioner in this county. The same person who is the forensic pathologist, the medical examiner, is the acting health commissioner. They're 2 totally different functions.
Absolutely.
They're 2 full-time functions. They're not a function for one person. It's a function for a medical practitioner, a pulmonologist, a cardiologist, an emergency room doctor, someone who can really deal with the public health issues we have, an epidemiologist. So it's infuriating to me on many levels that we're being misgoverned. And I understand people are busy, believe me. As you know, I have 7 children. They're all now older, but I know how engrossing family life can be,
Sure.
trying to earn a living can be, trying to make ends meet, trying to meet your cultural
It
needs.
doesn't exempt you from your civic responsibility to know what's going on in your
But we don't have a
environment.
newspaper that covers our county anymore, right? We don't have it. It's covering everything else but our county. So the point is, it's hard for people to have a commonality when they don't get information. But I am bound and determined to use the next 3 months to get as much information into people's hands as I can. I'm not going to speak to you as if you're ignorant. I'm not going to speak to you as if you haven't gotten out of kindergarten. You have the ability to appreciate the information. And if you don't, call here, again, 845-294-3991, and have a conversation about what you're not getting or what you disagree with. But I want to have a dialogue with the people in the county because I genuinely think that when people really understand these issues, they're going to want to change.
Absolutely.
And they're going to want to change and
Well,
elect
the
someone
change
who-
is definitely needed. There's no question about it in my mind.
And you and I, you're a little older than me, but not much. You look younger, but you're a little older. But here's the point. We don't have great ambition. We want to try to make a contribution to our
Exactly.
communities. I'm not looking to run for some other office. That's not my issue. My issue is let's have 2 parties in the county that are functional, and let's get some of these issues on the table and addressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyhow,
Absolutely.
great to see
well,
you.
Thank you so much, man. I
Appreciate
really
you.
appreciate
Thank
and
you.
I love your passion, man.